You know, there's a world of difference between just knowing something and being able to pull it out of your head when the clock is ticking in an exam. It's kind of like having tools scattered all over a messy shed versus having them laid out perfectly on your workbench. So think of this session as a mental workout. We're going to install 6 super powerful acronyms right into your long-term memory. Ready? Let's dive in.
All right, here's the plan for today. We're going to cover insurable risks with MUDPIs, risk reporting using fraud crime, risk responses with pirate, why we need reinsurance, which is sad life, alternative risk transfer using Descartes, and finally, the purpose of underwriting with Safari. By the time we're done, you'll have these 6 frameworks locked in.
Okay, first up. Picture this. You try to get insurance for a house while it's actively on fire. Yeah, not going to happen, right? But it begs the question, where exactly is that line? What actually makes a risk insurable? Well, the answer is all packed into our first acronym, MUDPIS. So these 6 points are basically the bedrock for any insurable risk. Let's walk through them. First, M is for moral hazard. You've got to eliminate it as much as you can. I mean, you can't insure someone who might burn down their own factory on purpose, right? Next, U is for ultimate limit. The insurer needs to know the absolute worst-case scenario, the maximum payout. D is for data. You can't just guess a price, you need historical data. P is for pooling. This is the whole magic of insurance, pooling a ton of similar risks together. And those risks need to be independent. A fire at my house shouldn't automatically start one at yours. And finally, S, the probability has to be small. You can't insure something that's basically guaranteed to happen. Makes sense.
All right, how on earth are we going to remember all that? Easy. I want you to picture a pig. This pig absolutely loves rolling around in mud. He goes to insure and says, I want a policy that pays out if I get muddy. The insurer just shakes his head and says, sorry, pal, this is a total mud pissue. And here's why. There's a massive moral hazard. He wants to get muddy. There's no ultimate limit to how much mud he could get covered in. We have 0 data for pricing this. We can't pool a bunch of mud-loving pigs. The events aren't independent, and the probability isn't small. It's 100%. See? It's a mud pissue.
Okay, quick pop quiz. Think about that muddy pig. What was the insurer's problem? What does MUDPIS stand for? Go on, say them out loud. All right, let's check. We've got moral hazard, ultimate limit, data, pooling, independent events, and small probability. Awesome, let's keep going. Next up, you know, a company's risk profile? It's like a complex mystery novel, and your job is to be the lead detective. So how do you write up your report so everyone understands the case? Well, your mission is twofold. You need to prevent fraud and solve the ongoing crime of lurking risks. So let's break this case wide open. We'll chunk it into 2 parts. First, we tackle fraud. Good risk reporting is key for financing, getting the right price, setting reserves and capital. It's also what rating agencies pore over. It directly affects the company's attractiveness to investors. And, super important, it helps everyone understand the risks and their financial impact, which lets you determine the best control systems to put in place. Okay, now for the second half of our investigation, fighting crime. Your reports have to track changes over time. They're absolutely critical for the regulator. They help you uncover those sneaky interactions between different risks. They let you monitor how well your controls are actually working. And maybe the most important part, they're crucial for emerging risk identification. You get to spot trouble on the horizon before it hits. So put on your detective hat. What are the 2 big cases you're working on when it comes to risk reporting? That's right, you're fighting fraud crime. Can you list out the points for each? Give it a shot. Okay, let's see. For fraud, we had financing, rating, attractiveness, understand, and determine. And for crime, we had changes, regulator, interactions, monitor, and emerging. Case closed. All right, let's change gears. You're on the open sea and you spot a ship on the horizon. That ship is a risk. Is it a threat or is it an opportunity? As the captain, you have to decide what to do. You've got 6 core strategies to choose from. It's time to think like a pirate. So here are your captain's orders. You can partially transfer the risk, maybe offload some of your treasure onto another boat. You could, and this is a bold move, just ignore it and hope for the best. You can reduce the risk by, say, reinforcing your ship's hull. You can accept it, brace for impact, and just retain the whole thing. You can transfer it completely, get someone else to take on the risk for you, or you can evade it entirely, just turn the ship around and sail away. Every smart pirate captain knows these 6 moves by heart. That ship is getting closer. You've got to make a call. What are your pirate options? Name them. Let's check the captain's log. Partially transfer, ignore, reduce, accept,
transfer, and evade. Got it. Okay, so insurers take on risk, right? But what happens when they face a risk so massive it could wipe them out? Think about a catastrophic hurricane or earthquake. How does an insurer insure itself? Well, they use something called reinsurance. And the whole point of it is simple, to avoid a sad life. Yeah, you heard me. The goal is to keep the insurance company from having a sad life. How? Well, reinsurance helps smooth out their financial results so they're not so volatile. It helps them avoid those devastatingly large losses. It gives them diversification. It lets them limit their exposure to any one disaster. It increases their capacity so they can actually write more business. And it can even provide financial assistance and give them access to the reinsurer's expertise. See? No sad life.
So, bottom line, why does an insurer buy reinsurance? To avoid a sad life. What does that stand for again? Run through the list in your head. Got 'em? Let's see. Smooth results, avoid large losses, diversification, limit exposure, increase capacity, financial assistance, and expertise. Perfect. But what happens when regular reinsurance just isn't the right fit, or maybe you can't even get it? Well, then you need to open up a different toolbox. We're talking about alternative risk transfer, or ART. And to help us remember all the reasons you might use it, we're going to call on a famous philosopher, Descartes. So picture the philosopher Descartes sitting at his desk designing the perfect risk solution. First, he lays the foundation. ART offers diversification and improves solvency. That's the financial bedrock. Then he thinks about the market. It's often cheaper and more available than traditional reinsurance. Big plus. Then he gets to the operational perks. It means results are smoothed, it can offer tax advantages, it's an incredibly efficient tool, and it improves the security of payments. And the real genius of it all? The E in the middle. It exploits risk, turning it into an opportunity. That's the Cartesian method of risk transfer. Okay, your turn. Time to think like Descartes. What are the 9 reasons to use alternative risk transfer? This is a long one, so try to use that mental image of him at his desk. Think about the financial part, the market part, and the operational part. Ready? Let's check the list. Having that image really helps lock this one in, doesn't it? Last one, and it's a biggie, underwriting. Before an insurer says yes to taking on a risk, they have to go out and explore the territory. You can think of an underwriter as the guide on a really important expedition, and their whole mission can be summed up in one word: safari. So what's the point of this underwriting safari? Well, first, they need to figure out suitable special terms if the risk is a bit unusual. They absolutely have to avoid the danger of anti-selection. That's like walking into a trap. They do financial underwriting to make sure no one is overinsured. A huge one is making sure the actual experience is likely to be in line with what they assumed in their pricing. They also perform risk classification, sorting the different risks into the right groups. And finally, they identify any substandard lives or risks that need extra careful handling. Let's really visualize this mission. So what's the plan? Step 1 on the safari is to search for suitable terms. Step 2 is to avoid those hidden predators, anti-selection. Step 3, you got to check your financial supplies, no overinsurance. Step 4, make sure your map, your pricing assumptions is accurate. Step 5, rate and classify all the wildlife you encounter. And step 6, identify any major threats out there. That is your safari. All right, final check-in. You are the expedition leader. What are the 6 objectives of your underwriting safari? Say them out loud. Okay, let's open the mission log and check. Suitable special terms, avoid anti-selection, financial underwriting, actual experience in line with assumed, risk classification, and identify substandard lives. Mission accomplished? And just like that, you've done it. 6 incredibly useful cognitive tools, Mudpiss, Fraud Crime, Pirate, Sad Life, Descartes, and Safari, are now installed and ready to go in your mental toolkit. They're not just words you've heard, they're frameworks you can use. So the only question now is, how many can you recall right now?